All right, Debbie. No music. We're coming in. We're coming in hot. Okay, here we go. I am Vinnie Tortorich. Folks, your good intentions have been stolen, but don't worry. I'm here to help you get them back. You may be soft and succulent at the beginning of this process, but hang in there. Before long, you will be lean and mean, guaranteed. Just like the woman on the other mic. She's looking kind of hot today. I like her hair when it's done this way. It seems like she's something different. And let's ask her about it. Folks, I'm talking about the beautiful Miss Anna Vocino.
Well, that's why I'm here, is to give hairstyling tips to women over 50.
Yeah. And first off, it looks lighter. It looks like you did something to the tips.
I didn't. I'm sure it's because I'm due for my color on Monday. And when you wash your hair, the color lifts out. So after a few weeks, it looks like a different color, which is why you go in and add
you
more.
get ready to get your hair done, and your hair looks good now. So what are you going to get done to it? Just cut it a little bit?
Just the roots. No, just the roots, and put a little more color on it.
So
they call it toning.
You're not getting a cut at all.
No, she just cut it last time. That's why she cut about 4 inches off.
It's different to me. That's why I was bringing it up.
I also straightened it. I usually have on headphones when we talk, so you can't see my hair anyway.
Yeah.
But now I'm doing it's a different.
I see that. You're doing what the kids do on the TikTok with the thing hanging off of your shirt.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, I want to have a more mobile rig because I can't lug that podcaster, roadcaster, and the thing. Right. So I'm figuring out how to do this more mobily.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was going to, this show is coming out like several weeks from now. We're getting ahead. And I was going to talk about 9/11 a little bit. Just a quick thing. Can you believe it's been 24 years? This is the 24th. We're recording this on the 11th.
24 years.
24 years.
Yep.
9/11. And here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah. It's
insane.
It makes you realize how quickly time passes. I was talking on another podcast the other day, when we do the call-in show on Friday, I play, Debbie Harry's Call Me from American Gigolo.
Mm-hmm.
And that movie and that song feels like it came out yesterday to me. And you see Debbie Harry in the video running on the beach and doing cartwheels and everything else. And you look around, she's 80 years old. The point I'm making is, folks, don't waste any time. Just don't waste time. Do stuff. Get stuff done. Do it now. Everyone talks about, oh yeah, I'm going to lose weight after the second Tuesday of next month. I'm going to start. No, start now. Do everything now, because you don't know what you have left in the tank. You don't know what's going to happen and when it's going to happen. Right? And
I love it. I love it.
So let 9/11 and how fresh it still is in our minds, yet how long ago it was.
Yeah.
Dude, it was more than 2 decades ago.
It's kind of like, I'm not huge on keeping score because I think you can use it to torture yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But it's great to gather data to see, like, how have I grown as a person? Did I do the things that I said I was going to do? Which is another reason why I like to set goals that are quantifiable in the new year so that I can actually see, okay, and has this thing been on my goal list for several years and I've not accomplished it? Like, has, be a size 8 or whatever been on your list for 17 years and you haven't done it? Then it's time to change up what you're doing. And you really have to take a hard look. And if you want to accomplish that goal, and generally there's something that's keeping you from doing that goal. And usually it's something that you've convinced yourself it's a safer option to choose B than it is to take the risk and choose A. And if I had to say anything that I've learned from the past 20, 25 years since 9/11 is that you think that you're taking the safe option to keep yourself safe, but it's actually safer to struggle and grow and challenge yourself and become the better version of yourself. It's actually safer to do that route. But sometimes you got to tell yourself that.
Yeah, look, I mean, I've often, people think I'm making a joke, but, I have one of my sister-in-laws and she would go, oh, it's, I can't lose. It's the baby weight. It's the baby weight. And one Christmas she was telling me about the baby weight. And I said to her, your youngest baby is now getting ready to graduate college.
Ooh, yeah, that's a reality check.
What are we doing here? You talk about 24 years. The kid was now at least 21.
Right.
So the last time you had a baby was 21 years ago. You had a lot of time. You know, I don't want to hear about big bones. I don't want to hear about baby weight. I don't want to hear about all the excuses. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to do an NSNG 101 part 2.
Part 2.
Duh.
Speaking of, real quick, you need to see the Charlie Sheen documentary.
You know what? When you said that, it reminded me. I watched
Hot Shots Part 2 is what I thought.
Yeah, as soon as you said that, they made that famous. I watched part 1 last night, and then it was already 12:30.
Yeah.
Part 2 popped right up, and I went, okay, I'm going to save this for tomorroh.
Okay, we'll talk about it on a later episode.
But I got to be honest with you. I went 15 minutes into the second episode because it's so compelling.
Denise Flippin Richards.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who is a legend among women.
Yeah. So, you know, I know some of the people involved there because of my proximity in Hollywood and what have you. I love that Charlie is doing this. I love that he's been clean now for, I think he said 7 years or 8 years.
7 years, yeah.
Which is very good. And I love that he's being so open. Like he's saying everything. And I'm happy because we can learn from that.
Yeah.
Now his addictions are alcohol and drug, you know, just substance abuse is his addiction.
Yeah.
Right. But, you know, we can all fold it in. We all have a thing, right?
We all have a thing. And what's so crazy is that this is a man who's born into an established Hollywood acting creative family.
Right.
His father's a saint among men for handling him over the years the way he has.
Yeah.
And who was handed everything. And it's interesting when you're handed everything. At least this is my take on it. When you're handed everything, like he stumbled into everything. He just showed up and got the part in Ferris Bueller. He just, you know, the whole thing. And you go, oh, that's interesting because there's going to be a part of you that goes, I don't deserve this. And then he blows it up. You know what I mean? Like there's a part of him that knows I didn't work for this.
All right. So it's interesting that you got that take from it because I got a slightly different take.
Oh, interesting. Tell me what you got.
He was a good athlete in school. He loved playing baseball and this and that. So he understood what work was.
Yeah.
Like he understood what it took to be able to be a good baseball player and whatever he played. And, you know, look.
And basketball. He played against Michael Jordan in that thing. He did a good job.
And you don't get to go do a celebrity thing with Michael Jordan unless your dad is Martin Sheen. Right. So for that, yeah, he did have the privilege of that. You know, he did have a line in. It certainly didn't hurt that the guy was gorgeous, right? He's just a really good looking guy. And, you know, it doesn't hurt that his good friend called him up and said, hey, there's a throwaway part in this movie I'm doing. What's her name? She's Serena.
Jennifer Grey.
Jennifer Grey.
Yeah.
Jennifer calls and says, hey, there's this kind of throwaway part, but, you know, you want to get in movies, come on down. And he did.
Yeah.
Right. And he even got ready for the part. You know, he was like, hey, this guy's supposed to be like this druggy, drunk and the whole thing. He stayed up all night so he can look a certain way. He understood method acting because his father was obviously a method actor. He was on the set of a movie that had probably the biggest method actor in the world. What was the name of the movie? The Coppola movie. That was followed. Apocalypse.
Platoon? Apocalypse Now. Yeah.
So the biggest method actor in the world is part of that movie.
Oh, I love when he's like, I ran lines with my dad in the limo. And I was like, that would be amazing. That would be like Masterclass 101 to run lines with Martin Sheen.
Yeah. So you're dealing with these crazed method actors. And he went, wait, acting is just becoming someone else. It doesn't really matter what the lines are. And he shows up to the audition. He literally took cigarette ashes out of an ashtray his brother smoked and put it on his face to look more,
He said he put it on his eyes to have like a smoky, like an eyeliner look.
Like the eyeliners, like his eyes were. He does all of this stuff, right? And he goes in, and as one person said, it's like he's on screen for like 3 minutes.
Yeah, and he stole it. He totally stole it.
Yeah,
he's got the riz, as the Z's say.
Yeah, yeah. He just goes in and he steals it, and then it becomes easy for him. Everyone's going, and even Sean Penn goes, look, I knew the guy in high school. We all went to the same crappy high school. And then I didn't see him for a couple of years, and he shows up and he's
swarthy.
He's got a jawline, and he's this good looking guy. And I'm looking at him going, my God, is that the same Charlie that I knew as a kid?
Yeah.
Right. So the whole thing is just very interesting, folks. If you want to watch what happens to someone, how success can, because people are, I just want to be successful. I want to be a TikTok star. I want to be an Instagram star. Be careful what you ask for.
Well, I think the thing too about watching him, of course, I'm sure everybody thinks, holy shit, how is that dude still alive, when he talks about the amount of drugs that he did and how deep his addiction went. But I think the thing is like, to extrapolate this into food stuff, the food addiction thing is real. It is very real. And the processed foods are designed to keep you hooked and going deeper and deeper down. And, you've heard crazy stories over the year. I was talking to a comic friend of mine who's now off of it all, and he's doing NSNG, but he could eat an entire pizza. This was his meal. He would eat the entire pizza. You get the Domino's or the whatever, or Papa John's, you get the entire pizza, drink an entire half gallon of milk, and then have a half gallon of ice cream in one sitting. That's how, like, you go, holy shit, that's the equivalent of Charlie Sheen saying, I could smoke 7 crack rocks in one go. Yeah. Like, to me, I'm like, that is bonkers that you can get to that place. But if you're in that place and you're listening and you're looking for, like, can I get out of this? You can. Yeah. You can. That's why we're here.
And, and like Charlie Sheen, sometimes he got out of it and at some point ended up back in it again.
Yeah. Right. It's never something that you're going to be like, okay, I've overcome that and I've achieved my final form. It'll never happen.
Right. And he's so talented. And when they do the first intervention and none other than Gran Torino himself calls him.
I know. And that was his aha moment for the first intervention.
Yeah. He was like, wow, people really care. Clint Eastwood is on the phone during my intervention. Right. But my favorite part of that, because I love we're going into this addiction thing with it. And I keep going down that road. But I love when he shows up at Slash's house and Slash goes, dude, you got a problem.
I know. It's about what a rock star is like,
one of the biggest.
I'm worried about you.
Who's doing drugs left and right goes, dude, you got a problem.
Did you ever see John Mulaney's latest stand-up special where he goes into his addiction and
No, but I should, because I love John.
Strong recommend. It's I didn't grow up around alcohol and drug addicts. So for me, when I then had exposure to them, I was really confused because there was no drinking in my house when I grew up. Like, I didn't understand it. So I'm always fascinated by those stories. There were other issues, trust and believe. But luckily, addiction wasn't one of them. But so I'm always fascinated to see it. But now I understand from observing it and being an older age that I can see, okay, here are the things that I get addicted about. Here are the things that I get obsessive on and have learned ways to temper it. And part of it, honestly, is getting off of sugar is the hardest flipping thing. But once you've done it, you can do it again.
Yeah. Look, the first time I even saw drugs, because I was living a Huckleberry Finn lifestyle down on the bayou. And none of my friends were using drugs. There was a couple of guys on the football team that talked about, but they wouldn't talk to me about it because they knew I would have fucking kicked their ass. But I would hear about, oh yeah, this guy took some amphetamines before the game. That was a big thing back then. Athletes taking amphetamines in their late 70s, early 80s. And I was like, don't even tell me who, because I will kill them on the practice field. I will make sure that they walk away with a broken bone. I don't want to hear this shit. Right. And I was just that guy. I was naive to drugs and everything else. But then I'm at Tulane. I'm in the biggest party city in the world, and where there's bars on campus. As you know, famously, I never drank while I was in college. I never had a drink until I was 35 or 36. I can't remember. But I was always sober, and I'll never forget freshman year, I was in my room studying on a Friday night when everyone else was going out because I was so scared of not. I was such a bore in college, man. I'm in my room studying in New Orleans on a Friday night. Everyone's going out, and at around 9 or 10, one of the other kids knock on my door from the dorm, and he goes, "Hey, man, you're not going out tonight, are you?" I went, "No, I got studying to do here." And he goes, "Listen, so and so is tripping. Would you mind studying in my room?" His roommate was tripping. And I said, "I don't even know what that, I know what it means,
Right.
but what am I doing?" He goes, "Just keep an eye on him. He's going to hallucinate for the next several hours. We don't have time. We're going out to the bars, and someone's got to keep an eye on him."
It's insane.
I'm like, "So
Oh
wait,
my God.
is he going to like go nuts on me or something?" He goes, "No, he'll probably, every now and then he might talk or do something, but just don't let him leave the room. Like he's got to stay in the room."
You had to be a shaman.
Yeah, just
basically
sit there and make sure that he doesn't leave the room because he'll be safe in the room. And I'm like, should
That's
I be
true.
worried about sharp objects? I don't know what's going on.
Sure.
Right? I'm like, tell me what the rules are to this tripping thing. And it's like, look, he just had too many shrooms. I'm like, all right, what's the shroom? I was that naive. He goes, mushroom.
Yeah.
And there was another time when someone was dropping acid and they showed me what acid looks like.
Mm-hmm.
I became the guy that babysat people who had dropped acid and did shrooms.
Well, I can actually see that because you have a very calming demeanor. So if I was going to be on psychedelics and losing my mind, I would want you to be the one to be like, "It's okay. Because you're fine." Like, I feel like you'd be very calming presence
I
to be
learned how
around.
to do it after a while, and I found out that sometimes
Vinnie the shaman. I love this.
well, some of these guys turned out they would get talkative, right, in the middle of
Yeah.
their
I
and
bet.
I had
I'm
some
sure.
great conversations. It's like because these guys were way smarter than me, right? They're from Shaker Heights, Ohio. They're from Long Island. They're from exotic places. They didn't grow up on Bayou Lafourche,
Right.
right? These guys are exotic to me, and they've been abroad, right? They've traveled
Right.
the world before their 18th birthday, and they knew more than me, and I would just absorb. And sometimes these guys wouldn't just sit there zoning out; they would get very talkative, and I learned a
I
lot.
love it.
I learned a lot. Yeah, that's something I don't think we've ever talked about in this podcast.
I love it.
Yeah. So when it comes to
Well, I'm a huge fan of the psychedelics, not doing them, but I actually think modalities and done under the right conditions. They have a lot of medically guided things now. I think that it helps people unlock a lot of stuff. So
speaking of which,
I'm okay. I'm like, I think that's great, and I love that you became the de facto shaman.
I was with a guy about a year ago. I got invited out with a friend, and he goes, "Hey, I'm inviting this other guy. I think you guys will get along." Right? We went out for a bite to eat. And I try to do that from time to time because I don't do a lot of that, right? I don't get invited a lot. Yeah, I'm a nerd, and people don't want.
So you try to say yes when you get the invitation. That's good.
And I said, "Serena, is it okay if I go out to her?" She's like, "What do you mean? Were you asking me for permission?" I'm like, "Yeah, but like a guy asked me to go out, and there's going to be another guy and the whole thing because I don't go anywhere, right?" You know me. You met me. I mean,
yeah.
You bought me a bottle of scotch 15 years ago, and the bottle of scotch is still full.
It's waiting for you.
I know.
I got it.
Thank you.
He made the move.
So we go out, and we start talking to this guy, right? And he's a little younger than me and the whole thing. And he goes, "Yeah, I just got back from Central America. I went on this ayahuasca retreat." Now, all of a sudden,
I know who you're talking about, by the way. I've talked to him about this.
Oh, okay. So, all right. So Oh, that's right. I connected you two.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I was like, now all of a sudden I'm like, what's a 50 some odd year old dude doing out in Iowa? What's wrong with you, dude? Like I put judgment
And
on this guy
yeah,
right away. I was like, really? Shouldn't you have done this in college? What are you doing? You're 50 something ayahuasca. Isn't this for hippie chicks? You know, this kind of thing. I didn't know. And I went, so I was, contempt prior to investigation, but I decided to investigate. I went, wow, what made you decide to do that? He goes, my son died unexpectedly. And now my heart is broken.
yeah.
And I'm like, oh, wow, what happened to your son? He tells me it was a tragic accident and his son dies. And he goes, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do with my life. And I tried everything in this pain. I've been living in this pain for a year. And I did this thing. And he goes, my other son came with me and we did it together. And
Beautiful.
it helped both of us. Because as a matter of fact, we may be doing it again. Right. And it literally broke my heart. But I'm getting ready to pass judgment on this guy. Turns out I like the guy so much. I introduced him to you.
Yeah, yeah. He's great.
Right? I thought,
and by the way,
to be in touch.
Yeah. And I won't tell his story because it's his story to tell. But Lauren has done quite a bit of work, and there's been a marked change, and I'm a huge fan of it. We should get back to cholesterol leaking out of someone's hands.
Yeah, I didn't mean to go off on a tangent. We're going.
No, I love it, but
listen. Before cholesterol leaks out of your hands, you should have Villicapelli on your hands, on your lips, and in your gullet. It should be everywhere.
Everywhere,
folks. I mean, listen.
Guzzle it, kids.
Anna knows. Last summer, not this summer, but last summer, I laid out in my backyard one day. One day, I laid out one time, and I was like, you know what? When I was a kid, used to go to Fort Walton Beach, Destin, all the the Redneck Riviera. Everybody else would bring the suntan lotion. I was back in the days when you had suntan lotion. I would bring olive oil because that's what my grandmother used to put in our hair when we were kids. They would rub olive oil in our hair. That's why Italians have that greasy looking hair. Their grandmothers are there with the olive oil. This stuff has been used medicinally and so on for years. Here's the problem. In this country, if you use the olive oil that they sell at the store, let's say you went and picked up some Bertolli's and you put it on your body in order to tan, good luck. You're going to probably burn because there's a bunch of seed oils. As a matter of fact, people are telling me when they go off of seed oils from ingesting them, they don't burn anymore. Their zits go away. Everything gets better. People go, where are the studies on seed oil, bro? I don't need a study. I can look at people and see what happens when they go off the crap. Villicapelli has no seed oil in their product. Zero. None. Nada. Zippo. None. You want Villicapelli.
No, it's clean. It's the extra virgin first cold press of the olive. And by the way,
well on your skin and it works well in your body. As a matter of fact, I will probably be drinking an ounce of it after this show. I kid you not.
I spilled it all over the counter maybe like a week ago.
Did you lap it up
and
like a dog?
I didn't lap it up. I put my hands in it and I rubbed it all over Lauren's arms because his elbows were looking ashy. Mm-hmm. And I rubbed it all over my arms and put it on my, I was just using it as like instant body lotion.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how I used it up because it was not going to be salvageable to eat it because it was all over the counter.
My grandmother I'm thinking about this right now. She would put it on a swab and then clean our ears out with oil.
That is really smart.
I was like, what is she doing? I mean, the other kids are laughing at us already, but she knew something, right? Villicapelli, promo code Vinnie will save you 10% every time. Villicapelli olive oil. It's all we use here. We use it on our bodies, but mostly we use it in our bodies. It's your body's engine oil. Villicapelli, we use it everywhere all the time. You break a leg, Villicapelli, just put it on your leg. Don't even go to the doctor. Just
don't even go. This is great medical advice.
Yeah.
That's sarcasm. Sarcasm,
I
folks.
think they realize it's sarcasm.
I don't know. Someone's going to be like, well, I broke my leg. And then Vinnie said, don't go to the doctor. I just put Villicapelli on it. And I can't believe it didn't heal.
I think after.
Villicapelli can do anything.
Yeah. Some people have duct tape. I use Villicapelli.
That's right.
Yeah. Promo code Vinnie,
Okay.
VINNIE, 10% off every single time. Cholesterol oozing out of someone's hands, Hannah.
So this is a Newsweek article that came across my desk, sent to me by a friend of mine. And it has a picture of this guy with hands, and its palms are like greasy yellow, like in the lines of his palms and his knuckles, greasy yellow. And it says cholesterol started to seep out of this guy's skin. Of course, now there's so many pop-ups on this site. My thing is freezing. I said, ugh, it's so gross. The man reportedly had started on a carnivore diet, and they put that in air quotes, 8 months before his symptoms began. As the name might suggest, carnivore diets are characterized by consuming primarily or only animal-based foods. Well, they have that correct. The diet eliminates carbohydrates entirely, relying instead on proteins and fats for energy, all of which from animal sources. People on the carnivore diet generally consume foods like meat, fish, organ, bone marrow, full-fat dairy, and animal fats like lard. Quote, his dietary habits included a high intake of fats consisting of 6 to 9 pounds of cheese, sticks of butter, and additional fat incorporated into his daily hamburgers, doctors wrote in the case report. The man told doctors that his diet had caused him to lose weight as well as experience increased energy and improved mental clarity. The doctors found that the man's blood cholesterol levels were over 1,000 milligrams per DL. For reference, a normal cholesterol level is less than 200, and anything over 240 is considered high. Now, they did not give a breakdown of LDL, HDL here, or what the ratio is. The man's strange yellow nodules were subsequently diagnosed as xanthelasma, a condition that causes yellowish fatty deposits to form underneath the skin. These deposits are caused by a buildup of cholesterol or other fats and are generally harmless. The condition is often linked to elevated levels of LDL, cholesterol, or triglycerides, which may ooze out of blood vessels and accumulate in the dermis, the layer of the skin just below the surface. The immune system responds to these accumulations, sending macrophage, I might be saying that wrong, white blood cells to engulf the cholesterol, which then turns into foam cells that aggregate in the skin, forming the yellowish plaques characteristic of xanthelasma. Xanthelasmas are yellowish plaques commonly found in the eyelids, says the study co-author. When cholesterol levels circulating in the bloodstream are extremely high and cannot get metabolized, xanthelasmas form due to deposition of cholesterol within the macrophages in the dermis. Now, it goes on to talk about the dangers of high cholesterol, weakening the arterial walls. It doesn't talk about him, like, is this guy okay?
Right.
Like, it doesn't say anything.
I read through it. And while you were there, I got to the end. So I'm going to call bullshit on this article.
Okay.
I'm not calling bullshit on what happened to him because
you think that the cholesterol built up and
that xanthoplasma plasma seems like that's a real thing.
Yeah,
that could happen. This is a hit piece.
I had to X out of it because I can't look at that picture. It makes me nauseous.
Okay. This is a complete hit piece, and I'm going to tell you why. I read.
Okay.
They always do all of that, and then you find the nugget, right, that they want you to believe. And this is why we get everything wrong all the time, right?
Right.
It's just like when my mom wrote to me, she was like, yeah, they found a straw in the nose of a turtle, a sea turtle. It's like, okay, we don't even know if that's true, but we made big decisions based on one photo that was found online. We don't know if someone stuck a straw in there, snapped a picture and pulled the straw out. We don't know any of that, right? But California had a mandate you couldn't use a straw anymore unless it was made out of paper. You ever stuck paper in a glass of iced tea, Anna? It doesn't hold up.
No, not so much.
So in order to make that hold up, they now have to spray the paper with something that's even more lethal for you. My question is, why does a grown-up need a straw to begin with? So let me talk about this, and I'll tell you where I found that it was a hit piece. This can happen. The guy, no one's telling anyone, and Anna, go back and find this, 9 pounds of cheese a day, pounds of butter, 12 pounds of bacon. What was all that stuff you were eating?
6 to 9 pounds of the thing and added fat to his hamburger meat.
Okay.
I closed out of the article because I honestly feel nauseous right now every
Yeah.
time I see that picture.
So,
I'm easily suggestible, okay? I don't like looking at gross things.
so this guy is an anomaly. He's doing something that no one else should be doing.
He's overdoing it.
Yeah. He's taking it, and he's taking it too far. And look, I know some carnivores right now. They don't know I know this, but I know some carnivores out there within our group that are on GLP-1s
Oh.
because they can't lose weight. Because carnivores automatically, it works great.
Are they overeating?
Yes, it works
Okay.
great at the beginning, right? Hey, look, meat heals. True. Meat's
Yeah,
good
we
for
love
you.
meat.
It's going to eat this one thing, and this is going to solve all of my. We were talking about Charlie Sheen and addictions. You become like a vegan, except in the opposite direction, right?
Right.
People go, "What do you think about carnivore?" I always go, "It's great if you're the one person who can eat one thing every day, like my dog does."
Right.
If you're fine with that. I like a variety and I like vegetables, but vegetables are trying to kill you, Vin. Saladino told me vegetables are trying to kill me. But this other guy, this doctor, which said lectins, Vin. What about all this stuff?
Is that Gundry?
Gundry. Thank you. All of these guys are charlatans. Bottom line, I'm telling you, there's nothing wrong with eating a vegetable. Nothing. Right? And, a lot of these carnivores, they lose weight at the beginning. They still got weight to lose, or they start gaining weight. And when you look around, when I talk to them on the phone, it's like, Vin, all I'm eating is meat and eggs and this and that and the whole thing. And when I get down to the quantity that they're eating, I work out like
Is it a lot? It's
and
enormous.
they're eating triple the calories I'm eating per day. And I work out like an animal every day because it's my savior in life. It's what keeps my head straight.
That's your ayahuasca.
That's my ayahuasca. That's my huckleberry. That's where I am.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to eat 3 and 4 times what a very, very, very active guy eats and expect to be healthy and to lose weight. Now, this guy is eating pounds of cheese. How long would it take you to eat 6 to 9 pounds of cheese, Anna?
Weeks. I can't eat that much at once.
Probably months. Think about it.
Yeah.
And he's eating that.
Like cheese, you have a couple little pieces like that, and you're like, cool, yeah. I'm good.
Right. You're not.
I couldn't eat like a brick of cheese for a meal.
Right.
Much less 6 bricks of cheese.
His body is not supposed to be able to clear that. Our bodies have. You ever hear of autophagy? Because that community, the fasting community, loves to talk about autophagy. Our bodies need a rest. We can't just keep hammering our body and expecting it to run. Right.
Right.
It doesn't work that way. But here's how. They took something that's probably real, and they turned it into a hit piece.
Yeah. That sounds about right. Well, I want to parlay this into. Go ahead.
I want to read this. The xanthoplasm itself is harmless. They say it right here in the article. But the causative high cholesterol can result in the development of atherosclerosis. Not true. A condition where cholesterol and fatty deposits build up on the walls of your arteries. Cholesterol clears out atherosclerosis. It hooks to it because your body got that scarring from somewhere else.
Interesting.
It also goes on to say plaque buildup in the coronary arteries can limit blood flow, heart disease, potentially leading to heart attacks, while cholesterol deposits in the arteries supply blood to the brain can cause strokes. All right. So, okay, untrue. Plaque causes that. Well, they did say plaque buildup, and they did it in the next paragraph, but it would lead you to believe that the plaque came from the cholesterol. Cholesterol goes in and tries to clear out plaque. But they don't tell you that here because Newsweek is not interested in telling you that. This is a hit piece, right? They found this guy, they found this anomaly, and they hooked it to a hit piece.
Yeah.
And that's the part that people don't see. And I'm able to look at this on this device in 2 seconds and call it bullshit, right?
I would hope somebody reading it would go like, this guy's crazy. Like that's too much food.
Right.
And too much of one kind of food, right? Like,
Exactly.
but I guess what I wanted to do is parlay this into what are the follow-up questions for the NSNG 101. So let's just do part 2.
Yeah.
And let's address first and foremost the idea of, okay, well, he's eating too much. How do you know if you're eating too much unless you track it and count all your calories and your macros, bro? How do you handle that, sir?
Hey, bro.
And I'm obviously being devil's advocate because I know, and this is the reason why, one of the main reasons why I still here all these years later is because you're a voice of reason. And so I'm tipping the hat a little to the answer, but walk people through this, because I think people are taught they can't trust themselves. And so they have to count, because then I'll turn into that guy and I'll eat too much and I'll be one of those carnivores who eats all the things and doesn't lose weight. And Vinnie, help me. I can't control myself.
The first thing we have to lose is the obsession with food, right? I tell people at the beginning, eat all the fat and protein you want, right? When you're addicted to sugars and you're drinking, and I'm not making this up, I talk to people who are drinking 3 and 4 2-liter bottles of Diet Coke a day. I talk to people who they talk about, oh yeah, I buy Enterman's, like the big thing. I'll eat 4 and 5 of those a day. I'm so addicted to food. When you're like that, I tell those people, we're going off of all of that, but I don't want to leave you on a tightrope without a net.
Right.
Right. So what that means is eat all the fat and protein you want. Let's get you used to still eating a lot of food, probably more than you need. And those people will notice, even though they're eating way more fat and protein than they need, they'll notice that they're losing weight at the beginning. Sometimes if you're 500 pounds, I've seen people lose up to 40 pounds in the first 8 or 10 days, right? It's just the inflammation coming down. Their body's relaxing into it. It's more common to lose between 15 and 20 pounds in those situations. But then they start thinking, oh my God, I found the Holy Grail. I can eat whatever I want and keep losing weight. At some point, calories become a thing. And that's what you have to be prepared for. Once you realize that you're not flying solo, you're not on a tightrope without having a net beneath you, you can start cutting down on the amount of food you're eating. There's never any reason to have to jot it down. I know some people like doing it, and I don't judge those people for doing it. But the bottom line
it's a short-term stopgap to maybe kind of like
to
give yourself a good idea
yeah.
of what you're doing. If you don't, I think there's a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like kind of blind autopilot behavior. Like you just operate on autopilot. You don't even realize that you're shoving shit in your mouth. You don't even realize that you're scrolling social media. You don't even realize that you've gone 4 days without a workout. Like you just kind of like operate on autopilot to get all the things done and make sure everybody else is happy, that you really have to stop and go, hold on. What am I putting in my mouth? What am I scrolling on the phone? And if counting helps you get a hold of that, I've noticed that most people, not everyone, some people track, and that keeps them on track. Great, good for you. But for me, when I track, I have a tendency to get into obsessive mode. So now I know. It's kind of like that thing in Weight Watchers where you used to eat a trough of spinach so that you could have the little square of brownie, and you would gamify the system and become obsessive over it. It's like, okay, well, if I track these here, then I'm making sure I'm not putting anything in my mouth so that I can then have the treat and use the rest of my points. And then you wonder why it doesn't work and why you're not losing weight. It becomes like you're just tricking yourself in a bad way.
Anyone who's listened to this podcast recently, about 6 or 8 months ago, I was talking about, the phone a lot, because I realized that my usage went up from about an hour and a half average per day to, it went to 2 something over 2 hours a day. And then it was ebbing up onto the 3-hour mark. And then I said to myself, okay, I'm not working on the phone that much. I use my phone for work, to do videos, to do this, to do that, to talk to people on X and what have you, but I'm not doing it for that many hours. Therefore, my screen time kept ebbing up, and the national average was, I think, 7.5 hours, and I was coming up on 3 hours. I wasn't happy, so I started obsessing over getting it down. And then after 2 or 3 weeks, I got it down to literally an average of 20 minutes a day.
Yeah.
But that I had gone overboard, right? And
Yeah.
I told myself, okay, I'm not going to check every day anymore. I'm going to check every third or fourth day just to see where the average was.
Right.
And then I was able to keep that average. The true average for me is about 45 minutes a day, average. So now once every week or 2 weeks, I'll look, right?
So what it sounds like you did was you modified your behavior and your obsessive checking enough to create a new habit that then once you knew it was a habit, you could leave it alone.
Yeah. And now I can't tell you the last time I've even gone to Instagram because there's nothing there, right? No matter what.
Honestly, there's nothing there. Yeah.
Every time I tell Instagram, I want to look at cool sports cars and cool boats and all kinds of stuff that I'll never get. It keeps showing me hot women putting their vagina into the camera covered by a thin piece of Lycra. That's what Instagram thinks a 63-year-old man wants to see. Don't get me wrong. I don't like running across it from time to time, but when I turn on Instagram, I don't want to be your gynecologist. I'm sorry.
Well, let's go back into a few of these NSNG 101 questions. Potatoes, and then I'm going to say white potatoes and then sweet potatoes, because white potatoes, I want you to explain that. And then sweet potatoes, when people see that I have one sweet potato recipe per book, they lose their minds. So I'd like to discuss those things.
So white potatoes are usually at least 100 on the glycemic scale. The reason I say usually 100 is because sometimes they're up to 105. So let me explain what that means. Sugar, a bowl of sugar is 100 on the glycemic scale. Something like coconut oil is a 0, right? So oil is a 0, sugar is 100. Everything else falls in between that on a glycemic scale. I'll give you an example. Like strawberries might be like a 35 or 40, which means it won't cause much of a glycemic spike if you eat a strawberry. Yet if you eat sugar, it's 100. If you eat a candy bar, drink a Coke, you're going to get 100. A potato will give you 100 or even more. So it's more sugar than sugar. That's a white potato. Let me explain a little more. People are going, hey, Vin, I heard that if you parboil a white potato and put it in the fridge and then,
like potato salad
and then
is a healthy starch.
Stick it in a bag and bury it in the yard and then pull it out and, stuff it up your ass and let it live there for 2 weeks and then pull it out. It will somehow make
at that point just eat the flipping potato.
Yeah.
Jesus.
It somehow becomes a super duper resistant starch. I hate to sound like Chris Schaffer, but yes and no. It will lower the glycemic index when you put it in the fridge for a couple of days after it's cooked. But it's only going to lower it from like 100 or 105 down to like 90 or 95. It's still a very high glycemic thing to eat. And somebody will, no, bro, I heard you can lower it to 87. Great. That's still high. You're up there with the Snickers bar. Okay. Now, what about yams and sweet potatoes? Uncooked, they're somewhere around 60 or 65 on a glycemic scale. So if you're going to do a potato as your meat jewelry in a dish, that's the way you want to do it. But wait, there's more. If you take a sweet potato or a yam, they're both very close in the glycemic scale, and you chop them up in chunks and you put them in the oven and you let them crystallize to where you see the brown sugar, you see the sugar on top is all burnt and everything. It will raise the glycemic index of that root vegetable by a lot. It can bring it up as high as like 85 or 90 from a 60 or 65. If you boil it, it will stay right at where it is to begin with. So if you want to enjoy a potato, you want to do it that way. Anna, I don't know if this is in your book or not. I think you have it under air fryers, if I remember right, because I know we've done these on an air fryer before. If you want a fried sweet potato or yam,
You're trying to crisp it up,
crisp it
basically.
up, do it in an air fryer. Do not
Yeah,
drop.
I don't have a lot of air fryer recipes in my books because I learned from book 2 when everyone said to get the Instant Pot, and I put Instant Pot recipes in, and then people were upset because not everybody has an Instant Pot. So when I write new recipes, I try to give every cooking method possible, and I'll include air fryer instructions, oven instructions,
Right.
Instant Pot, slow cooker, all the things. But yeah, I I think it's really interesting. I don't know if you don't like a recipe or something in there feels like it's triggering for you, don't make it.
Yeah.
I have literally 1,000 other recipes for you to make.
Anna, I had that question the other day in a consultation. Hey, you agree with Anna Vocino and eat happy? Yeah, absolutely. Well, she's got a pie in her book, and I went, yeah, that's not for you, right? It's
Yeah.
called Eat Happy because at some point you're going to want a dessert and you're going to want a healthier version of it. You know, holiday time, special occasion, what have you. These are not foods. Just because it's in there doesn't mean you're supposed to eat it every day. You need to have.
And by the way, I write that on the intro of every sweets chapter. I write that in the intro of all the cookbook. I write it. It's all over the internet. Doesn't matter. Nobody reads it.
No,
They open
go
that
right
book
to
and they flip straight to the dessert chapter
Yeah.
and then are outraged when they see that. And I say, you know what? This is part of living this life. 100% of people will eat sugar again. 100%. Even the food addicts will eat sugar again. And if I could wave my magic wand and cure everybody of diet mentality and just go, you know what? I can exist in a world where there are desserts, and I can exist in a world where there are carnivores and vegans, and doesn't bother me. I get to pick what I get to eat. That's part of like the liberation of it all.
Yeah.
You get to pick what you want to eat, but it is my job as the recipe writer to offer a wide variety of things because there are people out there, there are parents out there who want to make things with their kids. I don't want people to stop baking yummy things with their kids for special occasions. I don't want you to be like, well, kid, it's your birthday, but we're not going to make you a birthday cake. We're going to give you a brisket. Like, what? Like,
yeah.
You have to still live your life. Like, you can't, I think, or do that and, you know.
Look, I said it in my book.
Pay for your kids' therapy later. My mom never made me a birthday cake ever since she learned about NSNG.
Yeah.
You know,
look,
that's sad to me.
In my book, it's like, I don't want to live in a world that doesn't have, pistachio gelato.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm going to have that. If I'm in Italy, I'm going to eat it. And
so speaking of pistachios,
yeah.
What about nuts? We get that question a lot when people are like, I'm stalling. Should I cut out dairy? Should I cut out nuts? I know we talked about dairy in the last episode. So if you're wondering about dairy, go back and listen to the episode before this.
Okay.
But let's talk about nuts.
I'm not a fan of nut butters. Wait a minute, Vinnie. You had a company. You still have the company. I'm just not producing the nut butters right now that put out an almond butter. Yes, but it was laced with a lot of good things like medium chain triglycerides. So it was a high fat food. You didn't get a glycemic spike. I've tested it thousands of times. You can take it and you can test your blood and you're going to still be in dietary ketosis. It's not going to raise your blood sugar. But just eating peanut butter willy-nilly and this sort of thing, more than say a tablespoon, or a tablespoon's a lot, a teaspoon, that kind of thing, nut butters become too much. It becomes baby food. Your body does not digest it the same way.
Would you recommend almond butter over peanut butter?
Absolutely. It's a much better nut, but still, almond butter, look, if you can afford it, if you're a Rockefeller, I can't afford it, but they also make, macadamia nut butter, and it's delicious, right?
You could probably just make it at home in the Vitamix.
But you need to finance it. I mean, it's hard. Yeah, you can make it if you have a Vitamix and you have the wherewithal to do it. But nut butters are not your friend. That's number one. Number two, any kind of nut that is processed in any way, shape, or form is going to have a seed oil on it. So if there's a flavor, or if the flavor is even salt, the only way to get salt to stick to a nut is to bake it on with
with an oil.
And they're not using Villicapelli or any kind of good olive oil.
Or they'll use maltodextrin or some sort of dextrinized thing to get things to stick.
Yeah, they have methods that are not, it takes something that's normally healthy.
It is chemical sorcery.
Yes. So now we're going to talk about the order of nuts, right? There's a nut, it's hard to find, but it's out there. You can find it on Amazon. I used to have the guy on the show. There's a few people who bring these things out of the Amazon. They're delicious. The highest fat nut I've ever found, and I love them, is called the pili nut, Pili, pili nut. They taste like little dollops of butter. They're delicious. That's the number one highest fat nut. Right behind that.
I still never had a pili nut. I need to try it.
Pili nuts are amazing. Right behind that, you have something like a macadamia nut, very high in fat, protein, very low in carbohydrates. And then you have a couple of nuts, my favorites, and the ones I use during football season. You got your pecans, your walnuts, right? I buy pecans and walnuts, and I do a little Vocino thing to them. I take the Vocino barbecue dust, and I first off, I rub my nuts with Villicapelli. I just put the Villicapelli in my hand, and I just kind of run my hands through the nuts. You don't need heavy oil. You don't want heavy oil on there. And then I take this barbecue dust that Anna has in her hands.
This is the new tin. By the time this episode comes out, you guys can order this new tin.
Oh, good. So I sprinkle that on there. Now, Anna doesn't like when I say this, but I don't care about Anna. This is not an ad for Anna. I use the product. I add extra salt to mine because I like salty nuts.
You sure do, you salty nut mofo.
And sometimes, because I'm Cajun, I will hit it with just a little boom of cayenne, but not all the time. So I use Anna's thing like that to make those nuts.
Honestly, the ranch on the nuts is really good too.
I've never done it. You keep telling me.
You should do that.
All right, you know what, Anna? I promise for the next show, because football Sunday's coming up again this week.
You're going to roast some pecans.
I'm going to roast some with that because I keep looking at it.
You're going to enjoy it.
I think she's messing with me. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do a nice size.
You got to do it.
All right.
In fact, you should combine salt dust with the ranch dust.
Ooh, you know what? I've never used the salt.
That's going to be really good.
It came out in between I've used it, but not on nuts because it came out between football seasons. I only eat this during football season. So we're going to do that. So now getting back to the nuts, we start with pili nut, hard to get, macadamia nut, expensive to get. And then you have pecans and walnuts. They can be expensive, but if you go to the store, sometimes you'll see pieces and parts. Like they'll say, hey, get those. They're much cheaper. And don't buy them from Whole Foods. Go to like a Kroger's or an Aldi's or what have you. They're going to be cheaper there. But you always want plain raw nuts. Right down from that, you're going to get almonds, and then right behind almonds, it gets a bit carby after almonds. You have what's the one I really love that I don't eat much of? Help me out, Hannah. Can't even think of the nut right now. But
cashew?
Cashew, yeah. Cashews start to get a little carby. You have a lot of carbs in there. And then when you get down to the best nut in the world, the pistachio, you might as well be eating a potato chip. I love pistachios.
Really?
Eat them. Yeah, they're very carby. I eat them maybe once a year as a real treat. And it's usually around holiday time or something like that, when there's candy and cakes and everything. And I want to feel like I'm doing the holiday thing. Boom, I'll buy a thing of cashews. I always buy them in the shells because otherwise you're eating them too fast. You will mainline those things because they're carby. So that's
I use them to do a crust or add it to the pork panko crust. Because I find them to be very rich.
Yeah,
they're very like
I'm glad
rich.
you brought that up. You can use them in cooking like that, That's not the same as sitting there. You're adding them.
Oh, and just mowing on them. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's not, you're not turning your fish into a candy treat. Right.
Right.
You can use it in that way, right? To create that crust, because there's a lot of protein and fat with the fatty fish, the protein, the whole thing. And you're adding that. That's fine. It's when you're on an empty stomach and you go, oh, I need a little something, and I'm watching football, and you eat that. That is one of those things that can trigger you to want to eat other things.
Interesting.
Carby. So,
and honestly, that's how you learn. Well, when you bring that up too, you talk about sweet potatoes and putting cream and butter into the recipe. And because you said this early on, I'd rather you add cream and butter and mitigate that glycemic response.
Yeah.
Than just to eat it straight. Because that's the other thing with the glycemic index, where it does get troublesome. The way that it's tested are people ate copious amounts of just that one food without anything else. And in a meal, you're going to eat other things, I would hope. Right. You're not just going to have sweet potato caramelized in the oven, mainlining it. You're going to have other things with it, hopefully.
Yeah.
Please be sensible.
It mitigates the problem. Now, I'm not saying, hey, you go do this to do that. There's no trickery here. You can't really trick your body into doing anything. And by the way, when you're adding cream to a carbohydrate, you're also adding a lot more calories, and those can be senseless calories. So be careful with that.
So I know we have to wrap this up. I have an out very soon here, and you do too. And I want to say we're going to do an alcohol show. Let's just do an alcohol show, because I feel like we could do alcohol 101. We talked about fats to cook with. Real quick, can you touch on the cured meats, and can you touch on, did we do protein powder recently? Should we talk about that again real quick? Do we have time? Should we punt? Let's punt alcohol, protein powder, and cured meats for the next one. I'm going to make a note. It's too much.
It's too much.
It's too much.
We're at an hour here, and I have an appointment coming up, and I don't want to give short shrift, because that's a subject. Write those down. I want to do all three, because they believe it or not, they kind of fall into the same category of protein powders is a processed form of protein. And there's a lot of process that goes with processed meat. It's in the title. So we're going to do all of that next time.
So we're going to call that NSNG 101 Part 3, the three-peat.
Yeah. The
electric boogaloo.
All right. So
we're going to do alcohol. I got it. Okay, go ahead.
So folks, Anna Vocino, we talked about it during the show. Go check out eathappykitchen.com. Check out everything she has there. Get all of the stuff I do, and get her cheesy bites. They're the best thing you will ever put in your mouth. All right. You know what to do with me. We all go shopping on Amazon. Before you go to Amazon, go to VinnieTortorich.com. Click through the banner. Puts a little coal on the fire. Gets my train down the track. I said wrap it up, and it reminded me of the song by Sam and Dave, but I think the better version of it. Folks, on behalf of Anna Vocino, my name is Vinnie Tortorich. Put life into living, and do it with the fabulous Thunderbird.